welcome to SVGTV News for Tuesday, 25th September 2018. I am Yvette Boyens with the details. There are exciting times ahead for this country's tourism sector. So said Cecil Mackey, the Minister of Tourism, Sports and Culture, as he and representatives from the ministry held a news conference last Monday. Minister Mackey said the destination has recorded increases in tourist arrivals by air and sea compared to 2017. He highlighted the cruise sector in particular, which had record numbers in both calls and arrivals, and he's predicting that the 2018-2019 cruise season will be an exciting one.
Just received the first draft of the cruise calls for this upcoming season, 2018-19. Normally we would have up to 5 drafts before the season actually starts, because some of the agents would not have submitted what they already have as confirmed calls. So we have about 256 confirmed calls thus far on the draft 1, and those numbers, as is the case every year, would go up as the agents confirm the final calls. We suspect that the capacity that these boats will bring, that is the 256 that we have already, capacity of over 350,000 persons. So I expect that this season will be as good as or better than last year's bumper season.
The tourism minister said there continues to be intense focus on the local festivals, with activities such as the school band showcase, the Easter regatta, Vincy Mass and the Breadfruit Festival attracting significant crowds. Mackey said they will continue to work to improve the local festivals.
The month of August, Emancipation Month, we had that very important launch of the Chateauguay National Park at Rabaka, and we also had the Breadfruit Festival organized by the North Leeward Group in Chateaubelair. And this year we collaborated with that group and brought to St. Vincent and the Grenadines the Folk Festival. Games we love, games we enjoy. And we also had that program in Stubbs as well. And next year we are going to do further collaborations with the group in North Leeward. Hopefully the Greg's group will come back on stream with their Breadfruit Festival. There's Mariquois, there's Stubbs. So we are going to be spreading that folk festival, collaborating with those who have Breadfruit festivals for the month of August.
Meanwhile, CEO of the SVG Tourism Authority, Glenn Beach, said SVG is one of the destinations of the Atlantic Rally for Cruisers, the Arc Plus competition. Sailors mainly from Europe take part in the race across the Atlantic. According to the ARC website, the Blue Lagoon Marina will host the fleet's arrival in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The Tourism Authority CEO said this opens up new opportunities to marketing the destination.
That takes place over the Atlantic. So we will be testing in partnership with the ARC. We will be doing that race. That race will be coming to St. Vincent and the Grenadines in December of this year. As a matter of fact, they've also opened registration for the ARC next year. So far for this year's race, we have over 22 boats coming in. They've opened the registration for next year's ARC, of which you will, I think, have a choice between St. Lucia and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. In their first hour of operation, I think they had 8 registered, and I think 5 or 6 of them registered for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So these sort of things excite us. We continue to push ahead in terms of how we promote the destination. Sailing and yachting is our biggest niche market, and we continue to grow in that industry as in every other niche market within the industry. So we're excited about the new things that are taking place. There are some other things on the horizon as we come to signing those contracts, crossing the T's and dotting the I's, we'll have a lot more information for you.
Invest SVG is anticipating a grand exposition next month as they increase regional participation and international buyers. Today, prospective exhibitors were part of the final in a series of training workshops held at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, where they were trained to showcase and sell their products. Larissa Puggs the Kid has more.
Preparations for the Everything Vinci Expo 2018 are well on the way, as close to 100 participants have already registered to be part of this event. Today, some of the participants were part of a training workshop as Invest SVG prepares them to market their products to buyers. Executive Director of Invest SVG, Annette Mark, said last year there were many shy exhibitors, and this caused them to miss out on sale opportunities, but this year will be different.
Because, you can't be there laboring as to how to present your product to a buyer, so you need to do this as quickly and as succinctly as possible. So this is what today's workshop is about. So persons will be able to take out the best part of their products and be able to sell that as quickly as possible. So at the end of this, we hope that persons will come out of their shell, will be able to come out of their shell and be able to sell their products.
Mark said there are exhibitors both from the mainland and the Grenadines, and they will be having persons from the region and internationally as well.
We have a number of people that have shown interest from around the region and are making their arrangements to come to St. Vincent. So we have people from Guyana, we have persons from Barbados, Martinique, Dominican Republic, and what we found is that because our export development manager was able to go out to a number of expos, he was able to meet people and of course sell our expo, and they are very interested in coming to St. Vincent. So we also, I should say, have a mission coming from Taiwan. There's also a mission coming from Brazil.
Exhibitors were firming up skills in labeling, branding, packaging, and preparing business plans. The expo will run from October 23rd to the 28th, with each day having a different theme.
And we look forward to a great 6 days, and every day we have a different theme for the exhibition. So I can't remember off the top of my head what they all are. I remember we have Callaloo and something, we have high tea, we have rum and soca, and fashion and food. So each day we have a different theme and different shows, and we're gonna have a lot of performers, because after all, I mean, our performers and our creative industry is an export also. So they will also be on display at the expo.
Registration for Everything Vinci is still open to entrepreneurs and companies who desire to showcase their products. Invest SVG is targeting 120 exhibitors this year. Reporting for SVGTV News, I am Larissa Pugsley-Kidd.
In an effort to strengthen and expand HIV/AIDS voluntary counseling and testing services in SVG, more persons are being trained how to conduct these services. Today, health providers began a 4-day voluntary counseling and testing program, which is being supported by the OECS. Confidentiality and competence are 2 areas being addressed. Larissa Pugsley reports.
Persons desirous of knowing their HIV/AIDS status can rest assured that confidentiality will not be breached. This is the assurance given by Sister Feroza Roach, Director of the National AIDS Secretariat, as she addressed more than 20 participants at the opening ceremony of a 4-day voluntary counseling and testing training program today. Sister Roach said counseling and testing is an urgent priority for certain areas in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Those significant efforts are being made to expand the scope and scale of the HIV program. A number of persons are unaware of their HIV status, and they are hesitant to come forward to be tested. Knowledge of one's HIV status plays the most significant role in modifying behavior to either remain uninfected or to prevent infecting current or future partners.
Sister Roach added that many persons do not get tested for fear that health personnel will make their status known, so they are fearful of stigma and discrimination, which remains a problem in SVG.
Fear of stigma, discrimination, the perceived lack of confidentiality, and the lack of appropriate trained counselors at health facilities, non-governmental organizations, and other government sectors present a primary obstacle to establishing and maintaining high-quality voluntary counseling and testing services.
Meanwhile, OECS consultant Patricia Joseph told participants that they have a great role to play in having more persons come forward to get tested.
Once the individual has come in for counseling and testing, the main focus is on risk reduction, and whether they are positive or negative, the whole point is that they choose to, if it's negative, to remain negative, and if they are positive, to prevent further spread.
She also said that standards set out by the OECS must be met at all times.
You are being trained in a particular manner, because if somebody gets a pre-test counseling from somebody whom I have trained in St. Vincent, and they go to St. Lucia and they require post-test counseling, the provider there needs to be assured that it was done well and it was done in a particular manner. It's a gateway. VCT is a gateway to other treatment, psychosocial and care treatment and support services.
Reporting for SVGTV News, I am Larissa Pugsley-Kidd.
Leader of the Democratic Republican Party, the DRP, Anicia Batiste, has said the godly values which protect people's health and humanity must be defended from the attacks on the LGBT agenda. This, as she explained the reasoning behind her book, which is titled Studies in Political Sodomy. Batiste told SVGTV News that the book, which is co-authored by Nyron Medina, seeks to reveal the truth surrounding the LGBT agenda and their quest to have buggery laws removed in Caribbean countries. Batiste said the book gives an analysis of the recent judgments in Trinidad and Tobago concerning gay rights and the persecution which Christians face under hate speech laws.
So in this book you will find things like, addressing things like hate speech. We hear a lot about hate speech, and what is happening in the outer world is when you remove the buggery law, soon the same LGBT people ask for hate speech laws to stop Christians and other conscientious persons from speaking out against their behavior. So now it becomes hate speech if you just tell them what the Bible says, call them to repent and tell them that their behavior is sinful and they will be punished for it if they don't repent. We have a chapter in here called Hate Speech and Hate Crimes Explained. We even have commentary on one of the recent judgments that were given in Trinidad, where their buggery law was challenged. We have a chapter called Flawed Judgment, explaining why the judgment was flawed and why we shouldn't follow those reasonings in looking at the question of whether our buggery law should remain on the books, and so many other things. Examples are given in here.
The DRP leader said the book also explores the greater agenda of the LGBT community to gain greater political control over people's lives.
Leaders in socialism and communism states that one of the best ways to politically control a people is to first demoralize them. And what we realized, it was Vladimir Lenin, who was a leader in the USSR, communist leader. He once said, and I'm paraphrasing, he says the best revolutionary is a youth devoid of morals. So when you demoralize the people through things like sodomy and gay marriage and all sorts of wrong ideas of rights that perpetuate a set of immoralities in the society, you get some sort of political control over them because they no longer believe their rights come from God and they must live morally upright. So that's why the book is called Studies in Political Sodomy. If you look at the way the LGBT movement moves, they're always seeking to get laws on their side. They're always seeking to get politicians on their side. They have a greater agenda of communizing or socializing societies, and we should not accept it.
The book is available in digital and hard copy formats. Gunshots by unknown masked men rang out last night in the Lodge Village community, leaving residents angry and fearful for their lives. The gunshots were reportedly the most recent in a spate of increased lawless activities in the community. Residents are calling on the police and government to increase their patrol and have a presence in the community at all times. Larissa Pugsley-Kidd reports.
Residents in the Lodge Village are thankful to be alive following the firing of gunshots in close proximity of their homes at around 10:30 last night by unknown masked men. Residents spoke with SVGTV News off camera as they said they are fearful for their lives. While some spoke, others remained tight-lipped. However, one resident who was visibly shaken and emotional said he narrowly escaped a bullet as the bullet is still lodged in his door.
And I heard tremendous bullets continuously at the school junction near the schoolyard, and then it proceeded to come towards the street, the Lodge Village Main Road. And then there I saw two men with the mask, but at the same time there seemed to be another set of shootings, so I concluded there could have been a third person probably shooting back in defense or whatever, and that is what I heard afterwards, that perhaps there was a third party involved why this matter took place. When I coming out the office, the door is when the bullet, so I was like inches away from the bullet, right in the door, so my life was at risk. At the same time, I didn't recognize the bullet until after, when the police and I was talking and we were trying to find bullets on the ground, that I discovered my door was actually shot. So, but I was right in line crossing the door at the moment when the bullet came.
The resident lauded the police for the quick response to last night's incident. The resident and other residents in the area who spoke off camera said increased criminal activities have been happening for the past 2 months, which has left them fearful for their lives.
But it's over 2 months now we've been experiencing this matter in the village. Several people have been held up at gunpoint along the road and robbed. So it is very dangerous. And the police, I must say, has been responding very effectively, because it's not a one-shot thing, it's continuous. Just about every house is on there. Most people locked down now by about 6 o'clock up here. Nobody's going out in the night. It's bad for commerce. You can't go to a dinner. Nobody from the village is moving out. Everybody's just trying to get home and lock down their house, because a lot of the women around here have children. Some of the houses don't have husband and wife, it's like children. So, that is very uneasy.
The residents are of the view that while police are doing the best they can, there are too many exit points in the community and not many street lights. The resident who was affected said he is writing to the Prime Minister on this matter with several recommendations, including the need to have police presence in the community at all times.
All the residents around, everybody is on edge, everybody. One of the residents was screaming, "This is enough, we had enough of this." So I'm going to even ask the Prime Minister to let some security be in the area for at least several months. They need to do something. Have a dialogue on the matter with him, and the concerns, because especially for the school, and the lights at the school is not working, the spotlights, and those things need to be attended to, and apparently they're going on deaf ears. So more has to be done for the protection of the school.
Okay, do you have a police?
Reporting for SVGTV News, I am Larissa Pugsley-Kidd.
Deputy Police Commissioner Frankie Joseph has said that the organization will not relent in the execution of its duties. This as he spoke with SVGTV News today in relation to the robbery of a policeman which occurred last night in the vicinity of the old police station in Stubbs. He said the incident is being thoroughly investigated.
A motor vehicle approached from the opposite direction, and that vehicle pulled up at his feet, and the person who was sitting in the front passenger seat came out with a firearm and stick up the officer. He searched the officer, took the officer's bag, and the officer was not armed, and they drove off. We are investigating that report. As I stated, the officer was not harmed, but like every other offenses, we are taking this as serious as the other offenses.
Joseph said the arming of all policemen is a discussion which the top brass of the police must have, given the many implications. However, the Deputy Commissioner said many members of the constabulary have been applying for private firearm license.
It's something we are going to discuss. I can't say yes at this moment. However, police officers, like ordinary citizens, can also apply to the Firearms Board and have been applying to the Firearms Board to get a private firearms license. But in terms of the police force, arming all of the police officers is something that would take some discussion. So I at this moment can't say that we would be moving towards that. But as I said, police officers have been applying for private firearms just like ordinary citizens.
Deputy Commissioner Joseph said the policeman who was attached is shaken but determined to execute his job. He said this sentiment is shared by all members of the constabulary.
Of that, he is determined in the fight of crime. We are the police force. We are on the streets every day and every night. The unfortunate thing is that we cannot be in every place that a crime have been committed. But I guarantee you that every single night we have a number of patrols out on the street of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We are relentless in the fight.
The police are investigating a report of attempted murder made by a 19-year-old store clerk of Redemption Shops. Reports indicate that at about 8 p.m. on Saturday, September 22nd at Redemption Shops, the 19-year-old man was shot about his body with a gun by unknown persons. The police are also investigating a report of robbery made by a 78-year-old businessman of Roseau on Saturday, September 22nd at 10:38 against two armed unknown men. Reports indicate that at around 8:20 p.m. at Roseau, the armed assailants robbed the 78-year-old man of $245 in cash and a quantity of items. The police are asking anyone with information that would aid in these ongoing investigations to contact the ACP in charge of crimes at 456-1339, officer in charge at CID at 456-1810, or any police officer who they feel they can confide in. A 29-year-old disc jockey of Dixon Village, who has evaded local police for almost a year, is now in custody facing a number of sexual offense charges, criminal trespass and burglary. The police last year issued a wanted bulletin for Kezron Jacobs, who reportedly fled to Trinidad. He was, however, detained in the Two-Island Republic on Friday, September 21st and deported to St. Vincent, where he was subsequently arrested and charged for the offenses. The police say between September 1st and 30th last year at Magam Village, the accused disc jockey entered the dwelling house of a 47-year-old farmer with intent to commit the offense of rape on a minor. He was charged with having unlawful sexual intercourse with a girl under the age of 13 years and for indecently assaulting the minor. Jacobs was also charged for entering the dwelling house of the said farmer as a trespasser and stealing items valued $650 EC. He is expected to appear before the family court to answer the charges.